FA Cup final, and catching! What a magnificent goal!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live All Things Sky Blue show with myself, Mark Smith, and we'll be joined as usual by Cameron Cairns. Before I talk about the theme of tonight's show, I've got a bit of housekeeping to do. We are sponsored by Corrigan Bentley, and also we have a new sponsor, Plan with Neil, which is planwithneil.com. It's a finance firm, pensions, inquiries, etc. So please you go to planwithneil.com. We're part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. Please like and subscribe to our show on YouTube, on Facebook, on obviously we're available on X as well. So please follow us if you can on Instagram as well. And that's the housekeeping done out of the way. So tonight's show, we've got quite a few things to cover over the past week since we were last on. Quite a few things. Frank Lampard obviously signing a new contract, which is great news, 3 years till 2029. Potential signing of Amenda from Eintracht Frankfurt. Callum Parry signing a new contract. We'll talk about new kits, the and the new superstore. I haven't been personally yet, but we'll talk about that in more detail. We'll talk about the upcoming friendly that's been announced today against Espanyol. And last but not least, I have a little bit of World Cup chat. So plenty to talk about tonight. And joining me will be Cameron. Cameron, good evening. How are we doing?
Evening. I'm absolutely splendid. And what a way to start. What a week it's been. For Frank Onyeka signs permanently.
And Onyeka, yes. Yes, I've got about that, yes.
And then Onyeka is absolutely delighted and then he gets upstaged by the Frank Lampard contract extension. So, a bit of competition between the Franks who can grab the biggest headlines. Yes,
well, I think they're two excellent signings. I'm going to go with probably arguably our most important signing, Frank Lampard, 3 years. I think. Was you ever nervous about him potentially going, or was you always confident that that was going to be a done deal?
I was always confident. It was just a matter of when it was going to get announced.
Yeah. I think I was slightly worried when maybe Palace were, with the Palace situation and later with Marco Silva left Fulham, but. I think the fact that we had such a good season and you could see the rapport with the fans at the end of season celebrations. I think Lampard really loves the club, and I think it's great that he's committed his future to the club, and also it's a good sign that that he must have assurances from King about money to spend on players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we've got Onyeka in, we've got Mindy strongly linked, so apparently it's a done deal. It's just personal terms being finalised, which I'm sure we'll get to shortly. And there's going to be plenty more. Plenty more coming in, goings, outgoings. I think it's going to be a busy summer. So I do think that Lampard is going to be adequately back this summer. How it will pan out on the pitch, obviously, we don't know with the underdog. But at the same time, that element of the unknown is also really exciting, and I really can't wait.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. I think he's probably had assurance from Doug King about players. As you say, Frank Onyeka's first through the door. I mean, that was obviously not a surprise that happened. But do you think Onyeka is a player that will be a regular first-team player, or do you think potentially, if we get other signings, that he might even move to the bench possibly?
I think to begin with, he's a regular because if you look at the squad up and down, he's the only one with real, proper Premier League experience, who's played 50 or more Premier League games. Hopefully that will change amongst the summer if we can get some experienced Premier League players, which isn't necessarily easy. So you just need to kind of look for those gems, or if not, players abroad who are experienced at a level similar to Premier League. So say a bunch of Bundesliga veterans come in who've got over 100, 200 Bundesliga games. Okay, it's not Premier League, but they have experience in top flight football, and that's still valuable. So it's going to be interesting. I think we'll get a mixture of younger talent coming in with potential, but I also think the age of the squad overall will increase slightly just because we can bring exciting young talent. But I think we'll look at the squad and think, okay, we also need a bit of experience just to guide the players who just haven't experienced top flight football before. And in this squad, there's plenty, which, by the way, isn't a bad thing. I love the fact that a lot of these players' stories have been rags to riches. I think it makes our story even better.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer at the moment. But Onyeka starts, as you say, he's got that experience. He did really well for us last season. I think his best goal, obviously, was the Derby game, which was an absolute worldie strike. So I think that it was very good to have got him through the door. Although I think it was pretty inevitable that there was an agreement beforehand, so it wasn't exactly a surprise to us. We touched on it, I think, last show about Callum Perry signing. I think he's a player that's got a huge potential. He's clearly liked by the management team. Is it too soon for him probably to play Premier League football? Do you think it makes sense to loan him out for a season?
I think a loan out is definitely more likely. I think it's a lot to ask of him to step up from the National League to the Premier League. He did a brilliant job in the National League. Let's not get twisted. I think he did such a good job. I think he's even good enough to even bypass League Two. That being said, pre-season, we're not going to get every signing in before the first pre-season friendly. Tell me a team that does. Nobody. There'll be players signed during pre-season, after pre-season, even when the season starts, we'll be signing people. So that's when there is opportunity for a Callum Perry, not necessarily to just get in the team, but he'll be involved in the pre-season camp. He'll be playing in pre-season friendlies, impressing those pre-season friendlies, and that might help you get the shop window for an even better loan than what was anticipated. So that's why, okay, we're going to bring in players, but the youngsters who have come back from our loans and have done well, get them involved, get them playing these pre-season friendlies, and hopefully they'll get a good loan. If not, there's a League Cup game coming up between the Arsenal and the Hull City games, so that'd be another opportunity to play them and showcase them, and then, like I say, that'll be another window to give them that opportunity to get good loans that will help them in their development.
For those fans that may not have seen much of Callum Perry, what attributes would he bring to the table? What's his sort of best features of his game?
I would say his ability on the ball. His ability on the ball is sensational. His passing for a centre half is out of this world. I genuinely think I've said it earlier. I've said it previously. In terms of ball playing centre halves, he's actually the best one we have. Which I know sounds crazy when you have two defenders who are valued at over £15 million. But in terms of his ball playing ability, he is magnificent at it. I think maybe physically is where he needs to work, but when you get older and you're still growing, that will come naturally, and then that'll help him win his duels. But in terms of the footballer, at the moment, he is League One standard minimum. I even think in the second half of this season we could even see him playing Championship football. I think he's that good. Yeah,
no, that's really exciting to see. Moving on slightly, so in the same position, defender, we've been heavily linked with the Swiss defender Amenda from Eintracht Frankfurt, who is in the world. He's playing for Switzerland in the World Cup. What do you know? What do you know about him? Do you think he's the sort of the type of player we should be going for?
Based on the research I've done on him, he appears very physical. He's 6'4", 6'5", really, really tall. Very, very physical. Very, very good in the air. He's quite good at reading the game, like knowing where to go to intercept a pass or intercept a challenge. And his ability in terms of doing that is definitely going to be a big asset, because we're likely going to be playing a lower block next season. We're going to have a lower, deeper defensive line because we're not going to have much of a ball. So having someone who can read the game as well as he does, that's going to be a major asset. Last season, he was more of a regular in the Eintracht Frankfurt team. They have a new manager coming in. He maybe has his own ideas, so there's going to be a lot of incomings and outgoings over there. They're going to profit on what they bought for him. So I think we agreed. Was it £17 million, something like that? Which for us, which is a club record fee, obviously. But he's played for Switzerland in the World Cup. He's had a good breakout campaign in the Bundesliga. There's a lot of potential for him to grow. So I'm quite excited about this one.
Yeah, because I think our transfer record was at Craig Bellamy, wasn't it, for £6.5 million? I think.
Haji Wright broke it.
Oh, 7 million. It was 7.5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah.
the Turkish
23,
team.
24 season. Yeah.
Yes.
23, 24 season broke it.
That makes sense because the Jokeres money. Yes, yeah, good shout there. So yeah, I think it's a good start. I think the only sort of area we do need to strengthen is the goalkeeping position, and obviously it's been fairly quiet on Carl Rushworth. Do you think it's just patience really on that one, or do you think maybe we're looking at other options? It's hard to say, but what's your gut feeling on that one?
I think it's patience regardless if we get Rushworth or not, because he's great loanee, honestly, but one of the best keepers we've ever seen. But if we can't secure his services due to whatever reason, but maybe Brighton wanted too much and we weren't willing to pay that much, don't think it's the end of the world, because you don't always get what you want. And yes, with Rushworth, it'll hurt a little bit because, well, never fall in love with a loanee, but a lot of us liked him a lot.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of very good goalkeepers out there. A lot of goalkeepers from different parts of the world, even that you can find. You've got goalkeepers in France, goalkeepers in Germany. You've even got older, experienced players kicking about. I'm not going to name names, but I know someone who really likes a Spanish veteran goalkeeper.
Yeah.
There's plenty of options out there. Rushworth is obviously first choice because it's Carl Rushworth. But if we don't get him, don't panic. There are plenty of goalkeepers out there.
Yeah, and what other goalkeepers out there do you think we could attract?
That's a good question. So to start with, this isn't a first choice goalkeeper, but I'm gonna name him anyway. Matthew Ryan. He was spent last season at Levante. He's been released, so he's free to go elsewhere. He's had Club Brugge and Celtic linked with him. He's available on a free. He could come in. If he's an initial number one, it'll be like a Carl Darlow. He can come in and do a job, steady, dependable. And then if a better goalkeeper comes along, you can also obviously get that better goalkeeper. It could be, for example, Dominic Gree from Lyon. Or, like I say, Carl Rushworth from Brighton, if we could secure that back. But there's just plenty of goalkeepers. Like there's that many goalkeepers on my mind. I can't even list them because my head is spinning. But there are plenty of good goalkeepers. So just don't stress.
David De Gea, is that a name do you think we could get?
If he you know what? If he fancies it, why not? It's ambitious, definitely ambitious. But Sunderland managed to bring Granit Xhaka through the door. They might not keep him this summer because Chelsea are knocking on the door. But if you see a promoted side that can bring a top level player like that through the door, you can try. We might not successfully convince him, but we can try.
Yeah. Right, I've got a new feature in this podcast. It's called I've got a little poll here, which I'm going to put into the corner here, and we're going to talk about that shortly. Do you like the new kit? Yes or no? And we'll welcome any comments, not just about the new kit, the news this week that we were talking about right now. Just give us a comment, and we'll get those read out, and we'll ask Cameron for his opinion on that. So that's the poll. Do you like the new kit? Yes or no? Quite simple. I hope it works. This is a new feature, and I haven't tried this, but I'm hoping you have the ability to make a choice. So that's just something I'm trying out on tonight's show. So yeah, I mean, let's move on to the new kit. Now, I think it's fair to say it has a split opinion. It's obviously it's a remake of the 1987, which is next season will be 40 years ago. Obviously one likes it, which is good. So 40 years ago, next season we would celebrate 40 years of the greatest day in Coventry City's history, winning the FA Cup, which is our only major trophy. But what a day it was! So Cameron, what's your thoughts on the new kit? We've gone to stripes. It is pretty much a replica of 87's kit. Are you a fan of it?
I am, as it goes. Like, I think the split opinion comes from the fact that we're in the Premier League. Well, why aren't we playing in traditional sky blue? I think this was always going to be the kit. It was always going to be the kit. It's 40 years since the FA Cup, whether in the Premier League or the Championship. I think we're always going to play in that kit. The sky blue and white stripes at the front, but if you look at the back, the blue dominates the kit. The only thing that's white is maybe the bottom of the kit and obviously the player numbers. So Sky Blue still dominates the kit. It's just with some white striping. And to be honest, I don't have a problem with that. I like that. Like, it's not like where the last attempt at it for 30 years of the FA Cup, where they very poorly tried to do it, and it was essentially a white kit with sky blue stripes. So it's not like that at all. It's definitely a lot more effort's been put into the kit. It's not like a generic template. Hummel always put effort into the kits. They might divide opinions sometimes on the kits, but in terms of productivity, they never disappoint. In terms of how much effort they put in. So I really like it, and I even saw because obviously with the stripes, I saw someone use AI to make it away kit using a photo of that league kit, and it was rhubarb and custards. I'm like, oh, we're using Partick, and obviously it was fake because someone did it poorly, but around the badge was still sky blue. But I'm like, a Partick Thistle away kit, let's do it.
Yeah, or the fruit salad kit as well. Is another name for it. Me personally, I totally understand it's paying tribute to 1987, and I think it's great. The only thing, it's a general comment for me. It annoys me a bit that we switch from plain sky blues to stripes. I wish I'd just stick with one identity. And I'm not just talking about this kit. I'm talking about kits in previous years, because I just feel like, some of the negative comments I see is that we look like Sheffield Wednesday. Is a comment I've seen a lot on social media. Sheffield Wednesday got promoted to the Premier League, obviously sarcastically. But can you understand that viewpoint or not?
Not really, because Sheffield Wednesday play in a different shade of blue. If they don't know different shaded blues, I hope they never went to our school, because they would have failed in the first lesson.
Yeah, it's similar to Brighton as well. Actually, thinking about it, Brighton's kit.
It's similar in the designs, yes, but the shade of blue is very different if you look deep enough. Like Brighton and Sheffield Wednesday, they use a darker blue.
Yeah.
They use a darker blue, and where our blue is still sky blue.
Yeah.
And sky blue still dominates the kit.
Yeah. I think they've done. I think it's a kit. I mean, I'm going to be hypocritical. I say that because I don't massively like the kit. I preferred last season's kit. I probably will end up buying this season's kit because I love the club. I love Coventry City, and I like putting the money into the club's pocket. So that's just me speaking. But it's not one of my favourite Hummel kits. I think my favourite Hummel kit is the 1920 kit when we got promoted to the Championship. That reminded me a bit of the 88-89 kit when Speedy and Regis were playing. I mean, do you have a particular favourite Coventry City kit?
It is. It's from the same season as yours, but it's not the home kit. It is the third kit, the two-tone kit.
Oh yes.
I like the two-tone kit from that season, and I like the two-tone kit from the 21-22 season. So part of me is hoping that, because there's been a lot of racing innuendo in Coventry's advertisements, because obviously we've been in a partnership with Haas, and as we'll get to in the club store, there's racing simulators with Haas livery on it, and it just makes me think, are we going to have a two-tone away kit or a two-tone third kit? Because the two-tone, obviously, it looks like a checkered flag.
Yeah, I think it's a strong possibility that could happen. They could go, the yellow and blue away kits. I'm pretty sure that was the kit we wore on that 86-87 season. The yellow shirts with the blue Hummel chevrons on it. Do you remember that kit? Granada Bingo.
Okay, Michelle.
Could be a possibility. I like the idea of two-tone because it resonates with everyone, the people of Coventry, with Coventry supporters. I think it's a real, the fact it's anti-racism as well. The two-tone movement as well. There's a lot of really good reasons to have that as a kit, and maybe that should be like a permanent away kit, white and black. I don't know about you.
Yes, only if it's specifically with the checkered two-tone symbol.
Yeah. But what would be your rating out of 10 for the new kit?
I'm gonna give it a 7. It's just it's good. It's a good kit. Like, I can't knock it. Sky Blue still dominates for kit, and it's a Premier League kit, so I've given it an extra point for that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously prices are a bit more expensive now. I think we're looking around £70 for an adult shirt, but it's Premier League. And I think it's, whilst it's expensive, that is the going rate, isn't it?
Yeah. If you're looking to buy kit, get yourself a Klarna account. That's my best advice.
Yeah. You never know, those shirts might be on a 1p sale later in the season, like they were the orange kit. So you never know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, new store. Obviously we haven't been yet, but from what you've seen on social media pictures, what's your impressions of it?
The size of it, to start with, it's huge. You've got obviously the standard store. You've got the racing simulators, which, for those who don't know, I love my Formula One. I love my motor racing. So at some point, I'm going to be having a go on that simulator, and then you can all have a laugh when I tell everyone that I've crashed in the first corner. But that's another story. And not only that, there's a room where you can have a picture with the championship trophy.
Yeah.
And you can eat, and based on some pictures I've seen, you're even allowed to hold the trophy.
Yeah.
You're even allowed to hold the trophy, get your picture taken, post it whatever you want, make that your profile picture. You got to hold the championship trophy, which, by the way, for those who don't realise that football existed before 1992, yes, that is a dig at Sky Sports.
Yeah.
That championship trophy was actually the old top flight trophy for years and years and years before the existence of the Premier League. So some European giants have won that trophy too. So even though it's now a second tier title, that particular trophy has been won by clubs like Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, some really, really big clubs. So the fact that we're one of those clubs holding that beautiful trophy, which is the most beautiful trophy in the world, and that's not me just saying that, I genuinely think it is. It's a gorgeous trophy. We're part of that list now, and we should be proud that we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, obviously, it's our second best achievement other than 1987. But I thought the football, I think in a way you could say it's probably not better than 87, but from a league point of view, it's our best achievement purely because over 46 games, we were the best side in the division. So I think it's just a really, really exciting time. I mean, I'm going Saturday. I guess criticism you might make is Doug King is well, I don't know if it's Doug King, I'm assuming it is charging around £16-17 for the pleasure of doing that. Do you think that's a fair enough thing to charge people to go in?
Yeah, I think it is as go, because at the end of the day, different people are touching that trophy. Different people are touching that trophy. What happens if someone drops it and breaks it? Because it can happen. Because trophies are more fragile than you think, and those trophies, even though it's not the original trophy, it's obviously a replica. They're still really expensive to make.
Yeah.
And you're holding that trophy, and it has a lot of value. So, well, yeah, you might think, oh, you're charging people, but at the end of the day, it's an expensive trophy. What if you break it?
Yeah.
You hold that trophy, you drop it, you've broken the trophy.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to get that trophy fixed, and that's not a cheap bill.
No. And also, let's face it, how often we're not going to win the championship very often. Let's be honest. We don't. We're not going to win the Premier League this season. So I think it's you just got to milk it for what it is. Yeah,
exactly.
In terms of the shop, other than the kit, is there anything else you'd like to buy there? If money was no object.
I think I need to go into the actual shop just to look at everything.
Yeah.
Before I can pass more judgment. But obviously, the standard shop bit where you get the shirts and stuff, that it just looks bigger.
Yeah.
And obviously the racing simulator, which is going to be my favorite part of the shop, and obviously the trophy list. So they are the three main selling points, and hopefully they all succeed and get regular custom, because the fact you can get all of that installed, it's because keep in mind we now own the stadium, we could now afford to do this. So the fact that we can get all these things, our club shop is now rivaling Premier League club shops. Club shops that have 2 or 3 floors because they're so big.
Yeah.
And now we have a 2-floored club shop, and it's really exciting.
Yeah. I think Nicholas Ibbotson had an interview with CWR this week, and she said that our club shop is the best club shop in the Premier League. I mean, that's a big, bold claim, isn't it?
Well, I admire the confidence, and well, I've only been in our club shop, so I can kind of say we're the best, but that's only because I've been only in our club shop. But I'll take a word for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's talk about the upcoming friendly against Espanyol. I'm sure there'll be more friendlies to come, but that's a good game to get. Quite excited about that one. I don't know about you, but how do you feel on that one? I think it's in the first week of August, isn't it? I think that game.
Just let me double check. It is on the 8th of August.
8th of August, second week of August.
But yes, I'm excited. I'm very excited. You've got a La Liga club who are coming to England to play Coventry, like last season when Betis came over. It's going to be a good test. It is an established European top flight team, a decent mid-table team, and kind of, I'd say in terms of levels, it's maybe we're not far apart in terms of level. So it's going to be a good test to see where we're at. They're going to be physical, like I expect us to be. So that's what we're going to have to prepare for. They have some technically good players, and for those who watch the Championship and watched Tyree Stolen, he is actually playing for Espanyol, so we'll potentially see him coming back to as an opponent to the CBS arena. But no, I'm excited, and I have a feeling it won't be the only high-profile friendly that we'll have over pre-season. So, Espanyol, great start. Obviously, we have Northampton as our first pre-season friendly. You know, just to get the minutes in, just try out new things, try out potential new systems because for example, we might have it in our head, but we're still going to do 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or whatever we use. But for all we know, Lampard might want to do a formation change to adapt to Premier League and. Well, pre-season friendlies are the platform to learn a potential new system.
I think we're playing abroad, aren't we, for a few games as well?
Yes, I think there's a camp. I think it's in Marbella, isn't it?
Yes, that's what I heard as well. Yeah.
There's a couple of teams from South Africa, a couple of teams from Asia, a couple of teams from Europe. I know Celtic are allegedly on that same camp, so for all we know, we could potentially get a pre-season friendly against Celtic. I'm not sure if we'll be playing 1 or 2 games there. Hopefully 2, so we get more out of it. But I like the idea of playing an absolute juggernaut in Celtic, and then maybe as a second friendly, play somebody like Orlando Pirates just for the quirkiness of playing a top team from South Africa. Just different styles, different cultures, and I think that's just really, really cool to think about.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna be really fascinating to see how pre-season pans out, and hopefully we don't pick up any injuries, which is the most important thing. I guess looking at the playing squad, who do you think? I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit with this question. Out of the existing squad, who do you think could have the most impact next season in the Premier League?
I'm going to say Bobby Thomas. The reason why I'm going to say why is there's going to be tight and cagey games where we need that point or those 3 points that could be pivotal to our survival. Good set piece, stick it on his 50 pence piece and he'll let it in.
Yeah.
So, and I think having better defenders around him next season is going to raise his standards even more. So I'm quite excited to see Bobby in the Premiership. But I'm also going to say Jack Redoni because while Jack Redoni wasn't necessarily at his best compared to the season before, he's a big game player. When we really needed him to find some form, he found some form. Those games against West Brom, Sheffield United, Derby, Stoke, those really tight games that could have ended in draws or even defeats, Redoni stepped up and got the deciding goals.
Yeah.
And that is what you need. Like, okay, sometimes you might not always be at the races, because that happens. You're not going to be at the races every week. But when we really need you in those big games, those big points, can you step up? Jack Redoni has done that without fail, regardless if he's been in good or bad form.
Yeah. I remember that goal against Sheffield United as well, and that header. That was a great goal. And he's good at set pieces. I'll tell you another one I think could step up. I think Haji Wright could step up this season. I know he's been a bit inconsistent, but I think he's sort of player that might respond better to play at the higher level. You look at his performances, especially Wolves, the Cup. I know it's a couple of seasons back, but he really took his goals well, particularly the last goal. Do you think Haji Wright could have a big impact as well?
I think the way we'll be expected to play on the counter attack and everything, I think that will come to Haji Wright's comfort zone. He's not really someone who likes to hold up the ball or get physical. That's why a lot of the time he'll just really fold and lose the ball easily. If you can ask him to run and take on people, that's what he likes to do. And he is very, very good at it. If you look at a lot of his goals, it's running from counter-attacks, and then he's just so composed on the finish after those counter-attacks, and you can get that out of him more often than not. Then yeah, you've got a very capable player at this level. I think we're going to need new number 9s, just so there's obviously competition and maybe someone ahead of him, just so he can push himself out even harder. But in terms of like output in the Premier League, I don't really think it will be a massive issue.
No. I think Victor Torp is another one. I think he's a very useful player off the bench as well with set pieces. Obviously, we'll remember that free kick which led to Bobby Thomas's goal against Blackburn. But I think Torp could have an impact, I think, as a substitute this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. And as I alluded to earlier, set pieces will be a big weapon, because it's going to be harder to create the volume of chances that we were creating last season.
Yeah.
Not because we're bad or anything, just because the opposition is just so much better.
Yeah.
So when you have set pieces, you need to take advantage of it. You need to be street smart. You need to know when to win a corner, win a throw in, and that's when Milan even comes into play, just with those long throws.
Yeah.
Those set pieces are going to be very important.
And I just think, I know looking at the start of the season, I know we've got 2 really tough games at Arsenal, Man City away, which is near the start. Do you think in a way, and maybe I'm really clutching at straws, but the fact that we're playing so early, they're coming back from the World Cup, quite a few of them players, do you think that might be a good thing for us? We might catch them cold?
I think it'll definitely help in terms of the fatigue factor, because a lot of our players they'll be in the latter stages of the competition, and because obviously they'll be in latter stages, they will understandably come back into training later, because after a major tournament you get time off to recuperate. It definitely increases our chances, but it's still a big ask against those 2 giants.
Yeah. It is a big ask. I think whenever you play these sides, it's always a huge ask. But look, we're in the Premier League, and that's the main thing. We're there to compete. So I think we should be excited about the opportunity of playing in, arguably the best league in the world. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, let's just move on lastly to the World Cup. Scotland, sadly, View Cameron departed. England's still there, just hanging in with a win against Congo. I guess let's start with Scotland quickly. I guess it was a tournament that kind of was expected in a way, because they beat Haiti and lost to 2 good sides, Morocco and Brazil. And obviously Steve Clarke went on to resign from the job. I mean, how do you sort of sum up Scotland's time in the World Cup?
I'd be lying if I say I'm not disappointed, because I am. Because when you win your first game, you're thinking, if you at least get a point from the next 2 games, you're good as through. But the problem is there were just a lot of time. When we get to Morocco, I think Scotland were too safe and too negative. And as for that Morocco goal, those things happen. But those really early breakthroughs, it can happen. It will happen a lot in the Premier League. Will benefit from it and will be a victim of it. But Brazil was more frustrating, because Scotland were like, it's good to be positive, but not being careless. And I think Scotland are very careless. Scott McKenna playing out from the back when you have Vinny Jr. on your case. What's he doing?
Yeah.
You have to be smart. You have to be a lot smarter in possession. And at the end of the day, it ended up as a 3-0 loss, and we got what we deserved. And I'm sad to see us go, but at the same time, we only have ourselves to blame. I don't blame other teams for being good enough to be better third-place teams than us. We had a chance to go through ourselves, and we let ourselves down through poor decision-making, and only we can reflect on that. As for Steve Clarke resigning, a great servant, I'm sad to see him go just because of the memories that he's given Scotland. When we had so long away from being in tournaments, and then we've been making tournaments fairly regularly under him, it is sad to see him go. But it means that there's potentially a new manager coming in, fresh ideas, maybe new players getting a chance to represent the country who might not have got a chance under Steve Clarke. In terms of candidates, I would have liked Moyes or McInnes, but I can't see that happening now that Moyes is at Everton and McInnes is at Rangers.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see Alex Neil given the job, the manager of Millwall, and I like to think that Scotland could tempt him away.
Yeah, he's a young coach. He's done a fantastic job at Millwall. He's got them to the playoffs, and in fairness, Alex Neil, I think wherever he's been, he's always done a pretty decent job.
Yeah,
I think the only maybe exception with Stoke, but Stoke is a bit of a poison chalice. Really, it's a tough job, but I think he'd be a really good coach for Scotland.
And I think he's a bet. And obviously, he had that promotion with Norwich in 2014, not 15. But I think he's a better coach now than he was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I think he's a better coach. Like, I think the Alex Neil of 12 years ago doesn't drag a fairly average Millwall team into the playoffs. Well, I think average does them a disservice. They've got a great squad, but to be in the automatic promotion race was definitely punching above their weight, especially with the finances they have. And he did a great job with that team, in my opinion. So I would like to see him represent Scotland, maybe have his own ideas, bring in younger players, because there are some players in that Scotland squad where I'm like, this needs to be your last tournament. You've been great servants, but we need to start blooding younger players through now.
Yeah.
Because the squad is aging. McGinn and Robertson, two world-class operators, but we're in their 30s now. They're not going to be around for much longer. We need to start developing players.
Yeah. I think it'd be a really good choice. It'd be interesting to see where that goes next. Let's move on to England. England now into the last 16 with a really hard-fought win against Congo. What was your thoughts on yesterday's game?
Yeah, you had to fight for it. I see a lot of negativity when England tightly win games against lesser-known nations because they don't know a lot about this nation's football team. Because obviously for DR Congo they play in CAF, not UEFA, so they play in Africa. So there's not really a lot of coverage for African qualifiers of what they're doing in the AFCON. Well, because while there are players from the DR Congo who are playing in European leagues, some are even playing in the Premier League, there's not really a lot that people know about them, and they often mistranslate a tight, cagey win over that as a bad performance. That's not necessarily the case. Oh, I'm not going to go and say England were brilliant, but at the same time, another day you win that even more comfortably. The keeper had to make some really good saves, and
yeah.
But at the same time, Congo they gave you a game, but instead of condemning England as this is terrible, give them some credit. An underdog gave you a game. They caught you off guard early on. They were very hard to break down, and it took some flashes of Harry Kane brilliance to break them down.
Well, without Harry Kane, we don't win the game. It's as simple as that. I mean, he underlined his quality for me. He's England's greatest striker. I mean, there's obviously statistically he is, but I think he is generally. I think he's a better player than Rooney. I'd rate him as high as that. I think he's the way. I mean, that second goal for me was world class. You know, the way he just fashioned out a shot and it went right into the corner, and you're right, their goalkeeper for me was inspired. I thought you're right about the negativity. I think there was a lot of negativity. A lot of frustration. I think people would compare it to the Iceland game. I actually thought England played better than the Iceland game. I just thought their goalkeeper was outstanding. He made some really, really good saves. The header, for example, from Benning in that first half was outstanding. I just think with England we won, but I don't see us progressing. Really, I don't see us winning a World Cup or anything like that. I think the next game to Mexico will be a really tough game. But I think it's clear to me that our weakness for me looks like on the flanks. Like we don't defend well as a team, particularly on that right hand side. It's not just Jed Spence. I think Madueke for me struggled a lot as well defensively, and I think that's something that Tuchel will need to address. Do you think he's got the players to address that or not?
Yeah, I don't really think it's necessarily a personnel issue. I think it is tactical. Madueke not tracking back. I've seen it a lot. I'm like, that's why fully fit Saka starts ahead of him,
Yeah.
because Saka will track back. He will support the fullback. Madueke just doesn't have that street smarts to do that yet, and it leaves England often exposed. And because Jed Spence was positioned poorly because he got drew away from Matt attacker, but it led to the goal from the winger. He copped up a lot of the blame, but if he had more support from his winger, maybe it could have been prevented. So it's not necessarily one player issue. I think it's just collectively and tactically that things just need to improve. And as for your next game, you're going to be Azteca. It's a fortress. Mexico have played nearly 90 games there, and they've only lost twice in their entire history. And they have never lost a World Cup game in the Azteca.
Well,
So just to think of the task that you're up against, and not to mention the geography, the altitude. And this isn't me giving you excuses as to why you end up losing. This is just as to why it's going to be more difficult. It's thousands of feet above sea level. The players in Mexico, they're used to that sort of stuff. You're not in England. The land in England is just so much flatter.
Yeah.
And that will play a massive, massive part where oxygen that high up is more of a premium, and they've adapted to that sort of altitude where you haven't in England. It's going to be like the pitch is going to feel twice as big just because of the altitude. You feel like you're going to be running longer distances because it's going to be harder to breathe. It's going to be harder to just stay fit just because of the altitude. It plays a massive part.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we are severely disadvantaged, but I don't like using excuses like that. I don't like getting excuses in before the game starts. I think, yes, they've got a fantastic home record, but equally we're a good team as well. So I don't think I think we can give them a good game. Yes, they haven't lost in what you said. Is it two defeats in 90? You said
two defeats in almost 90 matches at the Azteca.
So in their history, is that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, in the history at that specific stadium.
But with respect, who have they actually played? I mean, we're talking about teams like Panama. We're talking teams like Costa Rica, I guess. A lot of these Latin America, Jamaica. I mean, they're not sort of well. I know, admittedly, England have probably play a lot of rubbish nations in the qualifiers, but we do play the odd good side. Like with. I'm just trying to think in recent times who we played. Maybe a Croatia. I think we played at one point. We've obviously played in the Nations League as well. Do you think England have got the players to beat Mexico, or do you think we've got no chance?
No, you absolutely have the players. And reason why I bring up altitude, because in South America there's Bolivia, their stadium is even higher in altitude than the Azteca, and you even see Brazil and Argentina folding and losing to these teams because. Isn't because it's not a talent issue. It's just because the Bolivia players are used to those altitudes, and the Argentinian players or Brazilian players are not. And I don't really think it's an excuse. And I don't really think it is an excuse. It is genuinely a lot harder. It's a geography thing, and the hardest thing in the world to beat is geography, no matter how good you are.
Yeah. So if you're Thomas Tuchel right now, what would be your team for the Mexico game?
I think you keep your goalkeeper in your back four, you keep your midfielders, but I think you swap your wingers out with Gordon and Saka.
Yeah. Yeah. Rashford, does he start for you?
No, I think you get more out of Rashford when he comes off the bench.
Yeah, I thought he had a poor game yesterday. I thought he was very poor. Finishing was poor.
And as deeper a bit and as deeper the tournament goes, should you get past Mexico, which I think would be a very impressive win given the circumstances I've explained. I think you want Saka on my right hand side for those bigger games because he can track back, he can defend, he can support whoever is in that right back position.
Yeah.
And it's really important that you have that. And Madueke, he's talented, he's young, he's talented, he's still growing, but that naivety could cost England if Tuchel keeps persisting as him as the starting right winger.
Yeah. Right, let's go predictions for Mexico, England. What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I'm going to go 2-1 Mexico after extra time.
Yeah. I'm going to sit on the fence, say England win though on extra time, 2-1. I think we'll dig out a win. I don't know why. I might be being slightly biased, but that's just how I feel.
If the game is played in the States or Canada, I'd be going for an England win. But like I say, you can't beat geography. And if you do beat geography, it's a big win.
It's a very big win. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup generally?
I'm still undecided between France and Spain. I think the winner of that semi-final, should they meet in the semi-final, will go on to win the tournament.
What about Argentina? Do you think they're the team that could push the other teams close?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that they've been very impressive this World Cup. They've saw off teams very comfortably. They haven't. I think they've only conceded one goal, which was against Jordan. They look very hard to break down. They score a lot of goals. They could be very dangerous. And I think it's between them three personally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Well, thanks, Cam, for coming on tonight. It's been really good having you on as usual. That wraps up tonight's show. Before I sort of close it off, I just want to get the housekeeping out of the way again. We're sponsored by Corrigan Bentley and Plan with Neil, planwithneil.com. We're teamed up with the Sports Social Podcast Network. Please like and subscribe to All Things Sky Blue on YouTube. It'd be much appreciated if you like and subscribe to our channel. We're also available on X under @All Things Sky Blue, on Facebook, on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So without further ado, thanks, Cameron, again for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back. We'll let you know sort of nearer time when we're next on for the next show. Stay in touch with us, and we'll let you know, as I say. Thanks very much, everyone. Good night.